But the question often gets asked is, okay, well, Robin, what gets in the way? Why is life so much heavier? And the gentle piece I tell you, if you feel that life is heavy or hard, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means you have a life, right? Life is hard. That's part of the story. But the big thing that gets in this way is this thing that we like to call stress. Have you all heard of stress before? Yeah, have you heard it's going to kill us? That 90% of all diseases are associated with free flow stress? Yeah. And how do we address stress? It's so confusing. There's so much misinformation. Like take, for example, cold plunge. Have y'all heard of cold plunges? Yeah? Do you think it works if you don't post it on social media? There's a type, just saying. Yeah. Well, what we know for men, there's a lot of research that says cold plunging can be very effective. For women, nope. The research is very, very, very conclusive that women shouldn't be cold plunging. It's not good. Our bodies are different in terms of how we regulate temperature, right? Women do really well between 10 degrees Fahrenheit, right? That gets, or Celsius. I don't even know what the difference is. You all can figure that out on your own. Whatever 10 to 14 is a safe zone for women, but that's a whole other TED Talk. Just kidding. Okay, so what am I going to show you again here? This is the Yerkes-Dodson human performance stress curve, okay? This is not new. It was introduced in 1908, but it's an oldie but a goodie. But the reason I'm showing you this is it shows the relationship between stress, or what we call our levels of cortisol, and performance. And what we know is that if you had no stress, you wouldn't be very good at your job. Stress is an energizer. It gives us focus, it gives us this idea of what's important, but what we want to be careful about are the doses of stress that we're getting on a daily basis, because what's happening there is it's pushing us into what we call the zone of distress. And when we're in distress, we are not thinking and feeling clearly. When we're in that place, everything feels urgent. Everything feels like it's on fire. When we're in that zone, we also know that people are not collaborating. People are competing against one another. People at the bottom are competing against each other. People at the top collaborate, but to be able to collaborate, you need to be in that optimal zone. Now, another cautionary note is you might notice for some of us, our optimal might be right at the threshold, right? It's right on that edge of being engaged and dialed in, but also knowing that we have to come back to that place of recovery. And what's quite interesting, when we look at these behaviors, again, we were designed to visit distress. We were not designed to build lives in that place. So we want to find different ways of being able to address it. And what we also know is that at first when we're in that place, it feels like fatigue, but then it runs the risk of feeling like exhausted to the point where you're tired as tired, and then we run the risk of burnout. Now, burnout is so real, and one of the things that we learned about burnout that's so significant in the last wee while is burnout is the curse of the strong. Burnout is the curse of the strong. You have to care so deeply to hit the point of burnout, because people who don't care do not burn out. And Dr. Charles Figley writes about this as what he called compassion fatigue. It's the cost of caring. So there is nothing wrong with caring so deeply, and I want you to care so much about your work, but I don't want you to carry it home with you to the point where you're not able to rest and restore and recharge. So what could that look like? What are we going to do to help give us this place of being able to heal and restore? What could that look like? Now, what we talk about here is activating our soothing system. Okay, we have these soothing systems that can help us bring us back to a place of calm. So when you are in that place of distress and everything is heavy, overwhelming, urgent, life hurts, in that moment, what I want you just to think about is, what do I do to get back to shore? You have to just get back to the shore, which is that middle zone where you feel safe, regulated, and well-resourced. We got to cool off that threat system, and we can do that by activating our soothing system. Okay, how do we activate a soothing system, Robin? I'm so glad you asked, because I am prepared to tell you. Okay? There's a few things that we naturally do anyway. We can get outside. You go outside, you start to feel better right away. You can also try crying. It's a very particular cry. It's a red, blotchy cry where you get super snotty and patchy. It's called a cortisol cry, and it explains why when you're in a stressful situation, it literally feels like your eyeballs are burning at the back of your head, because you're in that state of a cortisol release. Now, I imagine it would be very difficult to say to your client, we just need to sit down together and just have a little cry. Let's just cry it out, and then we're going to be okay. Right? It probably wouldn't send a lot of confidence. So thankfully, there's something else that we naturally are gravitated towards, which is we eat carbohydrates. We eat all those yummy, delicious things, and it starts to re-regulate our nervous system. Now, I got really curious. How many carbohydrates do we actually use if you imagine what macros would be in a whole body full of cortisol? And I reached out to a friend of mine who's a physiologist, and I said, how much do you eat of carbs? And he gave me a measurement. And I said, I don't speak that unit of measurement. Could you please give it to me in the form of Oreo cookie? And he responded, and he said, 1. And I said, a row? A package? Like double stuffed? Like... Because I'm telling you right now, I need a lot more than 1. But this is what I think happens. At the end of the day, when the stress feels so relentless, we go home, we eat that 1 Oreo, and it's like, wow, that hit. And you're like, if I feel this good right here, can you imagine how good I will feel at the end of that row? And we just overcommit to the process. Right? And maybe your thing isn't Oreo. Maybe you curl up with white bread, right? Or have a little snuggle with a pint, whatever it is. But what it does is it explains why we are so drawn to those urges, because our body will always find a winning solution, and it knows you're not going to address the cortisol, and the best way I can do it is make sure you have an appetite for carbohydrates, because it does metabolize and digest our cortisol. Useful. What else can we do? Because I do feel like I would be remiss if you left today thinking I just have to swear and eat carbs, and that's going to be how I get myself back to good. Well, my friends, you would not be wrong, but I have a few other little tricks up my sleeves. Okay, number 3, we can do a practice that we call birthday cake breathing. And you can use this any place, anywhere. All you need to do is just take a moment to pause. In your mind's eye, imagine a birthday cake. Take a deep breath in, and just blow out your birthday candles. That's it. What happens when you imagine your birthday cake, you don't even have to close your eyes, as I said. What it does is it quiets the mental chatter. Quiets the mental chatter, and then that breath work sends a cue up your polyvagal nerve that says that you are safe, that you are okay. So you're 1 breath away. And another way that you can do that is, as long as your exhalations are shorter than your inhalations, you're going to flip that polyvagal switch. So going into a meeting, walking into a situation, picking up the phone, whatever you do, just take 1 minute and take a deep inhalation in, and let your exhale be longer than your inhale. Another practice you can also try, and this is so beautiful, it's called drifting. And drifting is the physiological reaction our body has when it sees water. When you see water, when you are around any form of water, your nervous system will start to re-regulate. There are so many secrets that lie in nature that are going to make us feel a lot better. So let's think about a couple other practices that we can talk about. Now, we talk about these as what we call, look how ambitious I thought I was with our time, right? That's on me. We call these forces of recovery. Okay, these are the forces that we know will help you feel better even when you are going through a difficult season. Now, the reality is we can do self-care very consistently and well when we are in a good place. When everything's going well, you're feeling really resourced, you can do self-care, it's easy. The question is can your habits carry you through difficult times? Because your habits, this is super important, I want you to hear this, your habits make up the quality of your life. Your habits make up the quality of your life.